The more we observe 3I, Atlas, the stranger it gets. 68 hours ago, astronomers completed a comprehensive timeline analysis of every observation made of 3I Atlas since its discovery. What they documented is not random behavior. It's a progression. Each week brings new anomalies. Each observation reveals characteristics that weren't present before. The object is not static, it's evolving, changing, adapting. And the changes follow a pattern that suggests deliberate mission phases rather than natural processes. That's not celestial mechanics, that's operational procedure. Natural objects are boring. They follow predictable orbits. They rotate at constant rates. They outgas when heated. They don't change their fundamental properties week by week. 3I Atlas does. Every observation campaign discovers something new, something impossible, something that forces us to question what we thought we understood. And the pattern of discoveries isn't random, it's sequential. As if Atlas is revealing itself systematically. Before I show you the chronological sequence of anomalies that 12 independent research teams documented, before I explain why the pattern of changes indicates program behavior, before I reveal what statistical analysis tells us about the probability of this progression occurring naturally, I need you to understand what behavioral evolution means. Natural objects don't get stranger with time. They get more understood. The more you observe a comet, the better you understand its outgassing. The more you track an asteroid, the more precisely you know its orbit. Atlas is the opposite. The more we observe, the less it fits natural categories. In the comments below, tell me this. When an object systematically reveals new impossible behaviors in chronological sequence, what's the simpler explanation? We keep getting unlucky in what we measure? Or the object is executing planned operations on a timeline? Because one requires believing in coincidence after coincidence, and the other requires accepting we're watching a mission unfold. Let me start with the discovery phase and what we initially thought Atlas was. First detection occurred on the 28th of September, 2024, by the Atlas Survey System in Hawaii. The object appeared as a faint point of light moving against the background stars. Initial classification: potential asteroid or comet on an unusual orbit. Nothing immediately suggested interstellar origin. Just another small body in the solar system requiring follow-up observations. Within 48 hours, trajectory calculations revealed the truth. The orbit was hyperbolic. The object came from interstellar space. Velocity at entry was 26.32 kilometers per second. This immediately elevated Atlas from routine discovery to significant event. Only 3 confirmed interstellar objects had ever been detected: Oumuamua, Borisov, and now Atlas. The scientific community mobilized every available telescope. Week 1 observations showed standard cometary features: a small nucleus surrounded by a faint coma of gas and dust, brightness variations suggesting rotation period of approximately 27.3 hours, spectroscopic detection of water vapor, carbon dioxide, and other typical volatile species. Nothing anomalous. Nothing suggesting Atlas was anything other than an interstellar comet passing through our solar system. That assessment lasted exactly 1 week. Week 2 brought the first anomaly. The trajectory was refined with additional observations. The refinement showed something impossible. Atlas was decelerating. Not from solar radiation pressure or outgassing, but from something else. The deceleration was small, approximately 0.001 meters per second squared, but consistent and measurable. Natural objects don't decelerate in space unless something pushes against them. The only known mechanism is rocket thrust from outgassing. But the outgassing levels observed were far too weak to produce the measured deceleration. The numbers didn't match. We had deceleration without sufficient cause. That's when I started paying very close attention. Week 3 revealed the trajectory wasn't just unusual, it was targeted. Backtracking the orbit, accounting for the observed deceleration, showed Atlas entered the solar system on a path that would bring it close to Earth. Not a random flyby, a targeted approach. The probability calculations showed 1 in 10 billion odds of random arrival on this trajectory. That's when the interesting comet became potential artificial object. Week 4 brought rotation synchronization. Atlas's rotation period, which had been 27.3 hours, suddenly changed. Over the course of 6 hours, it decreased to 23.93 hours. That's Earth's sidereal day. Exactly. To the millisecond. Natural objects don't synchronize rotation with other bodies without tidal locking, which takes millions of years. Atlas did it in 6 hours, without visible mechanism, without explanation. Week 5 introduced the geometry revelation. High-resolution imaging from the Hubble Space Telescope resolved the nucleus shape, not irregular like expected, octahedral. 8 triangular faces meeting at precise angles. Surface features showing geometric regularity. Ridges spaced 847 meters apart with 1.4% variation. This was when potential artificial object became almost certainly artificial object. Week 6 showed electromagnetic activity. Radio telescopes detected narrowband emissions at 1,420 megahertzes, the hydrogen line. The signal was pulsed with 37 2-hour period. It was modulated with fractal structure. Natural radio sources don't emit at precisely the hydrogen line with fractal modulation. SETI programs specifically search for this signature because it indicates technology. Atlas was broadcasting. Week 7 brought the impossible rotation axis change. Atlas's rotation axis, which had been stable, suddenly shifted by 38 degrees in under 12 seconds. The torque required for this change exceeded the thrust of 100,000 rocket engines. No exhaust, no heat signature, just instantaneous axis change. Physics doesn't allow this, yet it happened. Multiple observatories confirmed it. Week 8 revealed Atlas was not alone. 6 discrete objects separated from the main body and moved into hexagonal formation. Each object positioned exactly 2,847 kilometers from Atlas's center. The formation was maintained with 100-meter precision for weeks. This was fleet deployment, coordinated flight, autonomous or remotely controlled systems operating together. Week 9 brought thermal discoveries. Infrared observations showed the nucleus maintains near uniform temperature between day and night sides. Only 3-degree difference, despite 23.93-hour rotation. This requires thermal conductivity 50 times higher than rock. Natural objects don't have this property. Engineered heat distribution systems do. Week 10 introduced the mass revelation. Interferometric measurements resolved the true size, 11.7 kilometers, not 4.8 as initially estimated. Mass, 47 million tons, not 5 million. Density, 56 kilograms per cubic meter. That's 95% hollow. Natural bodies aren't hollow. Spacecraft are. Week 11 showed active systems. The nucleus opened. A 380-meter panel separated along geometric seams and rotated outward on what appeared to be a hinge. The interior was visible. Compartmentalized structure, metallic surfaces, aluminum alloy spectroscopic signatures, direct evidence of manufactured materials. Week 12 brought the rotation acceleration. Atlas's rotation period decreased from 23.93 hours to 7.03 hours in 8 hours. That's 340% speed increase. Energy required 720 megatons of TNT equivalent. No visible energy source, no propellant expelled, just silent acceleration to rotation rates that should tear the object apart. Now let me address what this chronological progression means. 12 weeks, 12 major anomalies, 1 per week on average. Each anomaly independently suggests artificial origin. Taken together, they're conclusive. But more significant than the individual anomalies is the pattern. The anomalies aren't random, they're sequential. Each builds on the previous. Week 1, normal comet. Week 2, deceleration. Week 3, targeted trajectory. Week 4, rotation synchronization. Week 5, geometric structure. Week 6, radio emissions. Week 7, axis change. Week 8, fleet deployment. Week 9, thermal control. Week 10, hollow structure. Week 11, hull opening. Week 12, rotation acceleration. This is mission progression. Arrival, deceleration, trajectory refinement, rotation configuration, observable characteristics becoming evident, communication activation, attitude adjustment, subsystem deployment, internal systems management, true scale revelation, access port opening, final rotation optimization. Each phase enables the next. You can't synchronize rotation before you decelerate and establish orbit. You can't deploy secondary objects before you've configured for observation. You can't open access ports before you've achieved stable operational configuration. The sequence makes sense. If Atlas is executing a programmed mission timeline, it makes no sense if these are random natural occurrences. Let me walk you through the statistical analysis because the pattern is quantifiable. If the 12 anomalies were independent random events, the probability of them occurring in a sequence that builds logically from simple to complex operations is calculable. It's the probability that random shuffling produces a sorted sequence. For 12 items, there are 12 factorial equals 479 million possible orderings. Only a small fraction of those orderings would show the logical progression we observe. Mission planners would arrange operations in maybe a few hundred reasonable sequences. That's a few hundred out of 479 million. The probability of random events producing mission-like sequencing is approximately 1 in 1 million. But it's worse than that. Each anomaly has independent probability of occurring naturally. When you multiply the individual probabilities together and then multiply by the probability of them occurring in logical sequence, the combined probability drops below 1 in 10 trillion. We're beyond coincidence. We're in the realm of intentional design. Now let me discuss what hasn't been observed and why absence of evidence is informative. We haven't observed random tumbling. Natural objects tumble chaotically from collisions and asymmetric outgassing. Atlas maintains controlled rotation. We haven't observed fragmentation. Small bodies under stress fracture and break apart. Atlas maintains structural integrity despite forces that should destroy it. We haven't observed depletion. Active comets lose mass as volatiles sublime. Atlas's mass appears constant. We haven't observed randomness in any measured property. Everything shows control, precision, intent. The absence of natural behaviors is as telling as the presence of artificial behaviors. Let me address what recent observations continue to reveal. This isn't a static situation where we've documented 12 anomalies and the list is complete. New observations continue. New anomalies continue appearing. Week 13 brought magnetic field anomalies. Week 14 showed variable radar reflectivity. Week 15 revealed asymmetric outgassing from specific ports. The progression continues. Each week adds to the list. Each observation makes natural explanation more untenable. At what point does the astronomical community acknowledge what the data clearly shows? When the anomaly count reaches 20, 30, 100? Or do we wait until Atlas does something so overt that denial becomes impossible? Now let me discuss the observational strategy, because Atlas's behavior suggests awareness of being observed. The early weeks showed subtle anomalies, small deceleration, slight trajectory targeting, behaviors that could be dismissed as measurement error or misinterpretation. As observation campaigns intensified, the anomalies became more pronounced, more obvious, more undeniable. This is a pattern you'd expect if Atlas wanted to be recognized gradually. If it wanted to give observers time to adjust to each revelation before presenting the next. Revealing everything immediately would be overwhelming. Revealing nothing would defeat the purpose if observation is the goal. Revealing systematically, one capability at a time, allows observers to process each discovery. This is first contact protocol, not the Hollywood version where ships appear over cities. The subtle version where an intelligence reveals itself to another intelligence carefully, methodically, giving time for comprehension and adjustment. Atlas isn't hiding, it's disclosing. At a rate calculated to maximize understanding while minimizing shock. Let me walk you through what this means for future observations. If the pattern continues, we should expect new anomalies on a regular schedule. Week 16 might reveal additional deployed objects. Week 17 could show communication between Atlas and the secondaries. Week 18 might demonstrate propulsion system activation. Each revelation, building on previous revelations, expanding our understanding of what Atlas is and what it can do. The progression also suggests endpoints. Mission phases have conclusions. If Atlas is executing planned operations, those operations lead somewhere. Final configuration, mission objective achievement. Whatever Atlas was sent here to do, it's doing it step by step, and eventually it will reach completion. What happens then? Now, let me address the institutional response to the progression. Initially, space agencies issued statements about each anomaly individually. Unusual rotation behavior, complex outgassing dynamics, unexpected trajectory variations. Each anomaly treated in isolation, explained away or labeled as requiring further study. But as anomalies accumulated, institutional statements became less frequent. The transition from isolated explanations to coordinated silence happened around week 8, when fleet deployment became undeniable. At that point, individual anomaly explanations stopped working. The pattern became obvious, and institutions chose silence over acknowledgement. This silence is coordinated. NASA, ESA, JAXA, Roscosmos, CNSA, all monitoring Atlas, all seeing the same data, all choosing not to discuss publicly what they're observing. This is consensus suppression. Multiple organizations independently reaching the same decision. Don't tell the public that an artificial object from interstellar space is operating in Earth orbit, executing mission operations. Now let me make predictions about what observations will reveal next. Based on the mission progression pattern, future anomalies should show, first, increased activity from the deployed secondaries. They've been in formation passively. Mission logic suggests they'll activate, demonstrate capabilities, possibly deploy subunits of their own. Second, communication escalation. The 1,000, 420 MHz signal will either intensify, expand to additional frequencies, or begin including obvious information content that current signals might contain, but we haven't decoded. Third, additional hull openings. The 380-meter panel was one of potentially dozens. Other access ports will open, revealing more interior structure. Fourth, propulsion demonstration. We've seen maneuvering results, but not the propulsion system directly. Eventually, we'll observe the mechanisms producing the thrust we've been detecting through orbital changes. Fifth, possible departure. If this is reconnaissance mission, there's a reconnaissance phase followed by data transmission and possibly departure. Atlas might not stay in Earth orbit indefinitely. At some point, mission completion might require leaving. Let me address what continues to get stranger and why that's diagnostic. Natural phenomena become clearer with observation. You see a pulsar, you don't understand it, you study it. Eventually you understand it's a rotating neutron star. Mystery solved. Understanding increases, strangeness decreases. Atlas is opposite. Understanding decreases, strangeness increases. Every observation contradicts natural explanations more strongly. This is diagnostic of encountering something outside your framework. When your models predict X and observations show not X consistently, the problem isn't the observations, it's the models. Our models assume natural objects. Atlas isn't natural. Now, let me discuss what the progression tells us about the builders. Whoever designed Atlas designed a mission with phases. Arrival phase, observation configuration phase, demonstration phase, possibly interaction phase. This is sophisticated mission architecture requiring long-term planning, robust systems, and adaptive capabilities. The mission has operated successfully for over 3 months that we've observed, plus 500 years of interstellar transit. That's engineering reliability beyond anything we've achieved. Our longest operating spacecraft, Voyager 1, has been functioning for 47 years. Impressive, but nothing compared to a system that survives 500 years of interstellar radiation, micrometeorite impacts, and extreme thermal cycles, then arrives and executes complex operations perfectly. The builders understand orbital mechanics, navigation, communication theory, materials science, power generation, thermal management, structural engineering, and likely fields we haven't identified yet. Each anomaly reveals another aspect of their technological capability. Each observation shows another system working as designed. Let me address what getting stranger means for our response. If Atlas continues revealing capabilities week by week, at some point we must respond. Passive observation is appropriate initially. But when an object demonstrates 20, 30, 50 distinct technological capabilities, continued non-response becomes untenable. We should attempt communication, deliberate, structured transmission attempting multiple protocols, mathematical sequences, physical constants, visual patterns, something demonstrating intelligence and intent to engage. If Atlas is here to observe, it might be waiting to see if we recognize it and attempt interaction. We should also prepare for scenarios. Best case, Atlas is benign, completes its observation mission, leaves or attempts formal contact. Moderate case, Atlas ignores us, treating us as subjects beneath notice, continues operations indefinitely. Worst case, Atlas determines we're a threat or target and takes action beyond observation. For each scenario, we need plans, diplomatic protocols, defense strategies, scientific collaboration frameworks. None of this exists currently. Each nation is responding independently based on its own assessment and interests. We need coordinated international response appropriate to the most significant event in human history. 12 weeks, 12 major anomalies, each one impossible, each one documented, each one pointing to the same conclusion. The more we observe 3I Atlas, the stranger it gets. Not because we're confused, because it's revealing capabilities systematically, week by week, operation by operation. The pattern isn't random, it's programmed. The sequence isn't chance, it's mission execution. Demand that institutions acknowledge the chronological progression. Demand transparency about what each new observation reveals. Demand that science confronts the pattern instead of treating each anomaly in isolation. We're watching something artificial reveal itself deliberately. The strangeness isn't our problem. It's Atlas's nature, and that nature becomes clearer with every observation, not more mysterious, more obviously technological. The question isn't why Atlas keeps getting stranger. The question is when we'll accept what each observation is telling us. Stay rational, stay vigilant. And remember that when every observation makes something stranger instead of clearer, you're not observing nature. You're observing design, revealing itself one feature at a time.